Hello and welcome to Levant TV Headlines. The United Nations envoy to Syria is calling for a truce in the northern city of Aleppo. UN envoy Staffan de Mistura's public call for a ceasefire came a day after Syrian President Bashar Assad said the suggestion was worth studying. Iraq's state television is reporting that army troops have driven out Islamic State extremists from the heart of the town of Beji, home to the country's largest oil refinery. Top officials from Iran and 6 world powers meet in Muscat Tuesday as fears grow that a hard-fought deal on Iran's nuclear program may not be reached by this month's deadline. Now let's take a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. From Lebanon's Daily Star, the Syrian government has set conditions for helping secure the release of Lebanese servicemen held hostage by Islamist militants along the northeastern border. It adds that Syria had conditioned its participation in the hostage release process on receiving an official request from the Lebanese government. The paper also reports that a Ba'ath Party official blasted MP Walid Jumblat on Tuesday for urging Syria's Druze community to disengage from the regime and side with the rebels, accusing him of serving Israeli and Turkish schemes aimed at partitioning Syria. The Khalij Times reports that Boko Haram was suspected of killing 50 pupils in a suicide bombing in northeastern Nigeria on Monday, in one of the worst attacks against schools teaching a so-called Western curriculum. The explosion ripped through an all-boys school in Potiskum just as students gathered for morning assembly before classes began, causing panic and chaos. The paper also reports that Iran and the United States held a second day of talks on Monday in Oman about a long-hoped-for nuclear deal, with key differences threatening to scupper a final agreement. The Egypt Independent reports that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said on Monday that the long-awaited parliamentary elections will take place before the end of March 2015. Sisi's announcement came during a meeting at the presidential palace with officials from the American Chamber of Commerce in Egypt, the US-Egypt Business Council, and a delegation of US businessmen. The paper also reports that Sabra al-Kazemi, a former leader of the Islamic Jihad organization, said the fact that the terrorist group Ansar Bayat al-Maqdis has officially sworn allegiance to Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, proving, he said, that the army and the police have been successful in their war on terrorism in the Sinai. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines from UK papers. The Guardian reports that US-led attacks on the jihadis of ISIS are the product of a confused policy that is turning a blind eye to the crimes of President Bashar al-Assad, according to the leader of Syria's main Western-backed group. Hadi al-Barra, president of the Syrian National Coalition, SNC, warned in an interview on Monday that airstrikes against ISIS by the international coalition assembled by Barack Obama were weakening support inside Syria for already embattled, non-extremist anti-Assad forces. The Daily Telegraph reports how Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, one of the world's most wanted jihadist leaders, was once simply considered his mosque's best football player. In interviews, contemporaries of Baghdadi trace how he went from being a shy, unimpressive religious scholar and a man who eschewed violence to an infamously dangerous extremist, self-appointed caliph and reputed heir to Osama bin Laden. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines in international papers. The Deutsche Welle reports that around 50 US military personnel have arrived at Al-Assad Air Base near Haditha to conduct a site survey of facilities for potential future use as an advise and assist operation location to support Iraqi government forces. Their arrival comes at a time when Islamic State jihadist influence seems to be growing in the region. And finally, the Global Times reports that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday night instructed security officials to demolish the homes of Palestinians who perpetrated deadly attacks on Israelis, his office said in a statement. The order on the use of controversial punitive measures was made during a security discussion with Israel's defense leadership that was convened in Jerusalem after 2 stabbing attacks claimed the lives of 2 Israelis on Monday. And for more updates, please visit Levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow. Bye for now.